Good evening, fuckers. We are back with the next Train Simulator Classic request video. This one is a request from MikkDC, and well, it's more or less identical to one that I actually had down on my list as a route to do. So, oh well, we'll get yeah, two planned routes done in this one. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I first saw it, I kind of had a feeling of dread because I saw starting at Euston and going to, and I was thinking, if this is another Euston, the New Street one, I'm going to fucking lose my mind. But thankfully, no. It is in fact going from Euston to Stafford, which means that yes, we are starting on the West Coast Main Line South, and we will be going as far as Rugby, and at that point we will then change over to the Trent Valley line, and that will take us as far as, you guessed it, Stafford. There's not going to be a huge number of stops on this run. We're going to treat it as an express run that would be going from London to Glasgow. Now, those express runs do take the Trent Valley line. They don't go through Birmingham, and they would stop at Watford Junction, Rugby, Stafford, Carlisle and Glasgow. That's it. Now, obviously, we're only going to be going as far as Stafford. Also, we're not going to do the stop at Watford Junction because, the request asked that we stop at Milton Keynes. So instead of the Watford Junction stop, it will be the Milton Keynes stop. Everything else will be the same as the usual express run. So, to clarify, the stations that we'll be actually stationary at: Euston, Milton Keynes, Rugby, Stafford. Just 4 on the entire run, and one of those is the one we're actually starting at. Now, for the train, this is where it differs somewhat from my original route that I had written down on my list. He's asked for the Class 807. I had the Class 87 down, so this run's going to be quite a bit faster than mine, but that's okay. 807 is not a bad choice. It's, there's so little difference between this and, well, particularly the 803. The livery is about it. I think passenger-wise, the coaches are a lot better in the 7 than they are in the 3. And the units themselves are longer. The 807, it's a 7 car, but that's a single unit. The 803s are 5 car units, so yeah, it's a longer train. I've got no problem with the choice, which is just as well, really, because it's a request, so I'm going to be doing it anyway. As for the specifics, well, yeah, it is a somewhat scenic route, certainly a damn sight more scenic than anywhere on the East Coast Main Line. So we are going to have summer and cloudy conditions, and the time, for what it's worth, is 11 AM. So that's the setup. Let's get this up and running. And here we are. Now, ETA is always buggered up when we first start doing this particular run. It won't take long for it to actually get sorted out though, so we're okay. Let's get ourselves set up.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Oh joy. TPWS operational. AWS I can put up with. TPWS is a pain in the arse. Right, we will. We'll switch on the speed set because we can use it. 15 mph as we leave. Let's take a look. So here is our 807. Let's let passengers on. We have the rear of the train, but yeah, it is a complete 7-car unit. So everyone's on. Now, let's just take a look because I suspect the light here, yep, it's red. It always is. And there is not much I can really do about it because if I, try to tab through, so we will be going through a red light, but I have no option but to do that. So, I'm going to, as far as I'm concerned, the SMAD that we're going to get for this, it doesn't happen. It's bollocks to it. So it is about 84.25 miles to Rugby. Full length of this run is going to be somewhere in the region of 145 miles. So anyway, we've picked up our SPAD, which is, nothing we can do to avoid it. But once we've gone through the underpass section here, which I'm sure most of you will remember by now, the ETA should then sort itself out and we'll be okay. So we're now in a 25 zone. So yeah, we have a whole slew of reds up ahead, but the one green, which is where we're going, down through here, and usually once we've gone through that green, our ETA then sorts itself out and we're all good to go. So we are now in a 30 zone. There you go, ETA has sorted itself out now already. So it's going to take us, about 57 minutes to reach Rugby anyway. But I can't imagine it will take us even 2 hours to do the full length from London to Stafford. We are now in a 40 zone, being a bit slow picking up on these speed increases. So we're now in a 50. 55 limit going up in about 3/4 of a mile. Okay, it's not much of a speed change, but after that we don't have too far to go, and then we get, I think it's an 80, and then we really do feel like we're shifting. There it is. So the increase to 55, well, we will be in the tunnel by the time we're able to actually do that increase, and then the 80 zone starts just as we leave the tunnel. We've done this route so many times now, I suspect anyone watching this will be only too well aware of all the speed changes and where they are and when they are and everything else. So we are now entering the 55 zone. There we go. Now the reason why I was saying in the intro about the Class 807 being very similar to the Class 803 is that, certainly in my opinion, they are a bit of a backward step when you compare them to the likes of the 802, the original 800 and the 805. Those trains are all electro diesels, so you know, if you're out of electrical power for any reason, you've got the diesel engine there as a decent, reliable backup. Now, the 807 doesn't have that, as we are now in an 80 zone. The Class 807 uses batteries for backup, as does the 803. That's really not a very reliable secondary source for motive power. For one thing, if you are using them, they drain very, very quickly, and they take an absolute age to recharge. So we are now in a 100 zone. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the whole idea of using batteries for a secondary source. I mean, there are tri-mode trains out there. As a third source for motive power, yeah, then I can kind of see it, you know, batteries being an okay choice then. But yeah, that's the only time I can. It's sort of a last resort. Soon in a 105 zone, and then we have the 120 that is fast approaching, so we will be as near as, damn it, full speed. Past this vast slew of tracks and pylons and everything else. So into the 120 zone, and the 125 comes up in just over a mile and a half. So we are absolutely flying here. Do like the Avanti livery on the 807 here. Exactly the same as it looks on the 805. But the only thing there is to like about Avanti, they are about as crap a rail company as it gets. Wembley Central Station coming up. We'll just be going straight through. So we have a 350 approaching us. I think that's a 350 we're catching up with here. That one's obviously pulling into Wembley Central Station. So there we go, we can now go up to 125. So yeah, here we are at Wembley Central. You can just see Wembley Stadium, you can see the top of the arch there. Does irritate me when it does that. There goes a 378. And 378 was running on the DC lines, which I suppose makes sense. And I'm so used to they're actually known as the Watford DC lines, but I'm so used to the days when it would be, you know, the 313s running on it. And I think they share the lines with the London Underground as well, so you can occasionally see underground trains on there. So I'm having to ease off on the throttle, otherwise we would end up speeding. Chances of being able to do an entire London to Stafford run without speeding are slim, to say the least, but I am determined to give it a go. So approaching Harrow and Wealdstone station, there you are. One of 5 stations that Harrow has. Why the hell it needs, well, it doesn't need 5 stations, but it's got them. There's another 350. I do now have the Armstrong Powerhouse 350. Not actually tried it yet, but I actually don't mind the Dovetail Games 350, especially the version that comes with the Trent Valley line. So the Armstrong Powerhouse one has got yeah, got quite a bit to live up to. We have a speed decrease coming up down to 110. We'll set that now. It could be because well, approaching no, we've got Bushy station coming up here. So yeah, it's certainly not because of the approach to Watford. Another 378 right there. One of the older 4-car 378s. These days they're all 5-car. So we are now in the 110 zone. So this is Bushy Station we are heading through. And here comes Watford Junction. So I don't know, maybe that 110 was partly for it. So like I said in the intro, this would have been the first stop, even with us being an express service, but because we've been asked to stop at Milton Keynes, I'm going to do that stop instead of this one. Yeah, the express services would not stop at Milton Keynes. So yeah, here we are at Watford Junction. That's 350 there. coming up here. So 221, and we have speed increase coming up just as we approach the tunnel. So we're entering the 115 zone. We are now in it. Once we leave the tunnel, we are pretty much entering the 125 zone. It's back up to full speed again. Kings Langley station has made its way onto the route display. There's a symbol for the 125 zone. We certainly won't be doing 125 through Kings Langley, but we'll give it a bloody good try anyway. Rather a weedy horn on the 807. So yeah, here we are at Kings Langley. So yeah, shooting through there at 120, 121. Yeah, not bad. So Apsley is next. Ease off on the throttle now. Maybe not quite as much as I did. There we are, Apsley station. It's a fair sized station, but there's not really a hell of a lot on it. Hemel Hempstead coming up next. You do get quite the sense of speed in this thing, thanks largely to the very large front windscreen. I think the only train I have that has an even better sense of speed is the AVT, but it's not a good train to use on this line if you have any kind of motion sickness or epilepsy, because yeah, there's a hell of a lot of cab shake in the AVT on this route. Another speed decrease coming up. $115 as we approach Berkhamsted. But we can go back to 125 once we leave it, so that's something at least. So, yeah, Berkhamsted station, again, quite a sizable station without very much actually on the platforms themselves. Yeah, we're now back in the 125 zone. Let's get back up to full speed. Tring coming up next. So we could be going through Tring at 125. And we are. That was Tring Station. And we get some trackside views. Yeah, I wouldn't fancy laying there with my camera. Yeah, here's not too bad. Well, we got a few decent trackside views there anyway. Well, we've got two of them. Another 221. Jennington Station coming up next. Yep, another rather bland station, it has to be said. Leighton Buzzard, next stop, next station, not stopping there. We do have a speed reduction though just after it. So down to 110. So yeah, here is Leighton Buzzard Station. Again, not overly memorable. At least we are able to go back up to 125, well, in a mile and a half. The rate we're going, it's not going to be long before we're there. So entering a 125 zone. There we go. Bletchley coming up, so we must be getting pretty bloody close to Milton Keynes now. Yeah. There's Bletchley, you're right there. So I'm fairly sure that yeah, I'm pretty sure Milton Keynes is next. sure why that went off. We're not going to be changing our line. So here is Milton Keynes. So we've got to start to yeah, really bring our speed down here. Certainly won't have any trouble getting the entire train on this platform. So we're only a 7-car unit, so here we are at Milton Keynes Central. Certainly seem to be very much to one side of the actual town. So we're all set, let's get back underway. So our next stop is Rugby. It's not that far away actually, less than 33 miles. So we've really just blasted through the miles on this journey so far. We've done over 50 already. You've only been going just over half an hour. So I think it's going to be roughly 20 minutes and we will be at Rugby. Now obviously it's not going to put us on the platform that we need, you know, in order to go along the Trent Valley. So yeah, during the edit our number 2 driver will be moving the train onto the correct platform. Anyway, Wolverton is the next station coming along. Alberton station. So all these stations do look like they're quite major ones, but platforms are just totally devoid of any kind of platform structure. No waiting rooms, barely any seats. I mean, if you're waiting for a train at any of these stations and it's raining, well, too bad, you know. We're approaching some pretty good scenery now. Shame it's a little bit flat, but we're just too far away from the Chiltern Hills. Actually, we've left the Chilterns long behind us, I think, at this point. The abandoned station. I still have no idea what it was called. See the slight shake in the cabin now, so if this was in the APT it would be horrendous. a slight speed decrease coming up. We don't need to do a great deal, especially as we're running quite low throttle anyway, so our speed is coming down. We'll set speed set to 120. Fine now. Goes back up to 125 anyway in the usual mile and a half. There's the speed change sign. So a reduction to 110, and that is probably because, yeah, Rugby is it's still some 7 miles away, but the line does sort of, yeah, it gets a bit congested around here. It's not quite so much like an actual main line. And it stays like it for a fair bit actually. You've left Rugby behind by a good few miles before it sort of sorts itself out again. Thankfully we won't be going through any of that. In fact, after saying all that, we are going to be going back up to 125 at the end of this tunnel. entering the 125 zone again. There we go. Another 221 passing us. We see more 221s than we have 360s, which is quite surprising. Not 360s, 390s. We've certainly seen more 221s than 360s on this route. So we have a significant speed reduction coming up. And there's White Rugby station. So yeah, it's going to be actually switching us onto another line, but it's actually moving us further away from the line that we actually need to be on. Oh well, like I say, that'll get sorted out yeah, by our number 2 driver. Yeah, moving us right over to platform 1. Definitely not where we need to be. So there we go, we will let the passengers off here. We won't be getting any passengers on until we are on the yeah, the right line. So yeah, we'll hand over to the number 2 driver and let him sort that out. So we've been moved on to platform 2. So yeah, this is the platform where we were. Now yeah, we're on to here. We're just taking the passengers on board. So Stafford is 51 miles away, so actually I was a bit out with the distance. It's actually around 134 miles, not 145 as I said at the start. Anyway, passengers are on, so let's get underway. We are in a 75 section as we pull out of here, so yeah, able to set the no we can't. We've got a 40 coming up where we are going to be going over points. Now, I am nowhere near as familiar with the if I switch the speed set back on, yeah, I'm nowhere near as familiar with the Trent Valley line as I am with the rest of the West Coast main line. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect. And there aren't a huge number of like major sort of towns and that are served by this part of the West Coast main line. I mean, Nuneaton probably relatively major. Stafford itself, obviously. But the reason that the express services use this line rather than going right the way around, as we are in a 125 zone now, that came from nowhere. We don't need to be trundling along at 40 anymore. But yeah, the reason why the express services use this is because there's not so many major towns that it's going through, you know, or slight headaches as far as the amount of traffic, because we're avoiding Birmingham, so there's not so many other trains that we need to be wary of. And when it comes to the missing section, once we've done this route and we're at Stafford, the distance from Stafford to Preston is fairly short. I think it may be 25 miles at the most. So it is rather annoying that yeah, that part of the West Coast main line is, well, it's not released by Dovetail Games. Yes, it is available, but yeah, via means that I would really rather not. I mean, I'm sure I will get it, but yeah, let's not dwell on that. One of many Class 67s that we'll be seeing on this route. the first part of the run, with the exception of the totally unavoidable spad, it was completely clear. So let's see if we can manage that for this part as well. Said there'd be plenty of 66s on here. In fact, that first one might have actually been a 59. I didn't think this 125 zone would last quite as long as it has. However, we do have a significant speed reduction coming up down to 40 as we approach Nuneaton station. Don't think I'm braking quite hard enough. Oh no, we're fine. Bloody hell. We did cut it a bit fine though. We won't worry about that 75 limit just yet. Actually, no, what am I talking about? We're not stopping at Nuneaton. Another 350 there. So we'll stick at 40 for now while we're looking through Nuneaton station, because I can't change the speed set from this view. So let's get up to 75. Now, this is only going to take about half hour or so. It's not a particularly, well, it's not a long route when you're in a train that goes as fast as this thing. I don't think we are going to be getting any more 125 zones. I think we might still be able to do 3 figures, but yeah, not the max. So Atherstone is the next station with a bit of a speed decrease coming up to this. I mean, it's not like we're rocketing along at 75 here. So here is Atherstone Station. Well, at least we got a decent station building there. We are now re-entering the 75 zone. So at least we can get, well, a bit more speed up. Another 350. I must admit, on this particular route, I have never been able to drive a 350 without having some sort of fault crop up. I've no idea why, but yeah. The 350s on this route really don't like the way I drive them. Considering I drive every train as if it's a 506, it's not that surprising. Polesworth station coming up next. Quite a small station by the looks of it. Certainly wouldn't get any trains like this one stopping there. So that looked more like a 59 than a 66 to me. So here is Polesworth station. Yeah, really nothing to write home about at all, that one. Well, we do have a sizable speed increase coming up to 110 in a mile and a half. Just as we approach Tamworth. In fact, we can go back up to 125 once we pass Tamworth. I'm quite surprised about that. And there aren't a huge number of stations on this route. It could be that after Tamworth we haven't got any more stations until Stafford. In fact, I know that's not right because we haven't passed Rugeley yet, and so yeah, we still have that one to come. So we're entering the 110 zone. Now we're in there. Let's set that. Here is Tamworth Station. Another, that is definitely a 66, that one. We are now in a 125 zones. Set the speed set to a maximum. Right, so Lichfield, not Lichfield Trent Valley, even though we are on the Trent Valley. But we'll certainly see the bridge where Lichfield Trent Valley station is, which is part of the Birmingham Cross City route. There it is, just going under it now. Another 66. We're seeing as many freight trains on this route as we are passengers. Speed decrease coming up, 110. That, well, that's why, because of Rugeley Station, I really don't see why it would need that much of a speed reduction, but there it is. So, Rugeley Station, yeah, it's quite a small one that. pretty sure that's it until Stafford itself. Additional speed reduction down to 90. Only a temporary one. Mind you, we then only go back up to 100, so I suppose, I mean, it is still three figures, it's not terrible. We are fast catching up with this train here, which really sounds like a 59. That did not sound like a 66 to me, I'm sure that was a 59. So in the 100 zone, and pick up a bit more speed. This is a fair sized tunnel, this one. Turns out to be not quite as long as I thought. Another speed reduction down to 90 coming up. There will be more, I'm sure of it, because Stafford is only just over 3 miles away now. Fast catching up with another freight train. This will almost certainly be a 66. Yeah, that is a 66. So we got a 25 mph limit as we approach Stafford. That's probably points. That would certainly confirm that it is points we are heading towards. And there we are. So that was London Euston to Stafford in class 807, the Evero, or the Evero if you really must pronounce it that way and make yourself sound stupid. Yeah, great run. The 807 doesn't quite have the acceleration of an 805. That was one thing I did notice. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a hell of a lot in it, but yeah, the 805 is a slightly better accelerating. Doesn't mean this thing is any kind of slouch, that is for sure. So when you're doing a long distance intercity run like this is still plenty fast enough. So if we have a look at how I did, I think I've managed to do pretty well. Yeah, as in no operational errors of any kind on this part, and as far as I'm concerned, not on the previous part either, because yeah, that spad, if I'd still been waiting to avoid that spad, we still wouldn't have left Euston station, so we'd still be there waiting now. But 133 miles in what, yeah, just under an hour and a half is not bad going. So there we are. That brings this video to an end, and we will see you at the next one.